Hello everyone, welcome to this video, and God willing it will be the last time you see me in this room because my wife and I are preparing to move into our new home this weekend, and I will have a new office, new filming space, and all that other good stuff. So this room that I'm not the biggest fan of, you're not going to be seeing it anymore. Again, assuming everything goes according to plan, but we shall see. But in other news, you won't be seeing too much of me anyway for the next... let's say 2 months or so, because baby's almost here, due first week of July. And with the house that we're moving into, we're going to be working on furnishing the house, getting everything ready for the baby, and then baby will be here, and we'll be getting used to all of that. So I'm going to be taking a break from work and video production. So a lot of stuff going on, but it's all good things. And because of that, you won't be seeing a whole heck of a lot of me. I have one video set to be released in June, and that is my WWF NWA Dream Card that I've been working on since before WrestleMania. It is coming, I promise. You'll be seeing that one in June, but other than that, you won't be seeing a whole heck of a lot of me in July because of, you know, the baby. But I should be picking things back up in August. Because we'll be getting close to the release of my book, Godzilla the Monster Fight Record, both volumes 1 and 2. I have set a preliminary date of August 27th for release on Amazon, and it'll be released in all formats, digital, paperback, and hardcover. So be on the lookout for that, because I'll be annoying about it, because I'll be promoting the darn thing. But I can't believe it's almost done. It's so crazy. But right now we're at that point where volumes 1 and 2 are like 98% done. It's just doing one last proofread, and I'm going line by line by line by line to make sure that everything is right. So if I make any mistakes and I miss anything, please make fun of me, because I'm trying to avoid as many mistakes as possible. But we'll see. That's self-publication for you. You got to do a lot of this stuff yourself. But and even though I worked with an editor, there's still, like, I'm paranoid about missing or forgetting something or getting something wrong. So just trying to do my due diligence and do everything right. But one more thing before I jump into the main topic. As I take time off and, you know, become a father and do all that other fun stuff, I kind of want to have, like, something to watch, like, on in the background while I'm, you know, becoming a dad or busy with something else. And I'm looking for, and this is for the kaiju fans out there and tokusatsu fans out there, I'm looking for recommendations on something to watch, even if it's just, again, it's just something to have on in the background while I'm taking care of the baby. And I've been wanting to watch more of the Ultra series, more Ultraman stuff. And I've been wanting to get into Kamen Rider, so I'll ask anybody who's interested. When it comes to Ultraman, I didn't start watching the Ultra series until a few years ago when I was reviewing stuff in preparation for Godzilla King of the Monsters. Man, that feels like it was a lifetime ago. But that was where I saw the original Ultraman series for the first time, and I watched the movie Ultraman the Next. Since then, I've watched Ultra Q, which was the first Ultra series. And I've watched Ultra 7, which is highly regarded as one of, if not the best Ultra series. Really enjoyed that. And I also watched the Ultraman series on Netflix, which was a complete waste of time, but I watched it anyway. And I watched the new movie Shin Ultraman, which is enjoyable. It doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like a bunch of Ultraman episodes crammed and spliced together, because the focus of the plot changes every 10 to 15 minutes, it seems. But if you're an Ultra fan, you should enjoy it. It is a fun movie, and I'm glad I watched it, but it's not as good as Shin Godzilla, in my personal opinion. But any other Ultraman series that are worth checking out? There are a lot of them. I can't possibly watch all of them, but any recommendations, I'm open to suggestions, so please let me know. Also, Kamen Rider. A big tokusatsu series, iconic, known very well amongst fans and in, you know, Japanese pop culture and things like that. Never watched it. I've never watched Kamen Rider, so I'm looking for suggestions on what to watch from the Kamen Rider series. Any suggestions there? I'm open to any of them. Again, I'm going into that one completely blind. All I know about Kamen Rider is if you showed me a picture of Kamen Rider, I would know what it is, because I've seen that image everywhere. And so I'm aware of it, but I've never actually sat down and watched any of it. The closest I've ever come to watching Kamen Rider was when they tried to give it the Power Rangers treatment, and they Americanized it for that Masked Rider show, which I never watched, but it did cross over with Power Rangers once, and I do remember watching that. I think it was a 2-parter, 3-parter, or something like that. So I remember that, but that's my only experience with Kamen Rider. So any recommendations as far as getting into Kamen Rider? I would highly appreciate that. That Kamen Rider also got a Shin movie that just came out. I won't be able to see that anytime soon because, house and baby, but again, any recommendations on watching Kamen Rider, I'm open to any of them, so please let me know. And finally, I've also been thinking about getting into Super Sentai, which is the Japanese, or was the Japanese origin of what became Power Rangers. Obviously, I'm going to watch Zyuranger because that's the one that the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers came from. But any other suggestions as far as that goes? Now, keep in mind, with Power Rangers, I didn't watch a whole heck of a lot outside of the first 2-3 seasons of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So I don't know a whole heck of a lot about Power Rangers beyond that. But any Super Sentai series that you recommend beyond Zyuranger? I've been told Dairanger is very good, and I should check that one out. And that's the one that was the basis for season 2 of Power Rangers, which had the White Ranger in it and all that other fun stuff. So, any suggestions? I'm open to them, so please let me know. So, I think I'm done there. Time to talk some wrestling, and this isn't going to be a very long video. I just wanted to give my thoughts on AEW and the return of CM Punk, which has been made official and has been announced for the first Collision in Chicago later this month. And boy, oh boy, is it going to be a fun ride. Because I think as we've learned, whatever your feelings on CM Punk, I think we've learned in his absence that AEW is a lot less interesting without him than it was with him. And granted, AEW was interesting before he got there, but they also had Cody Rhodes, and I think Cody added a lot to the show. And now that Cody, since we've been lacking both Cody and Punk, AEW's lost a lot of its momentum, a lot of its steam, and a lot of its creative has gone down. A lot of its execution of things has gone down, and it's noticeable. Everyone's noticed it. It doesn't have the same fine-tuning and the same quality that it did when Punk was there and when Cody was there. It's just, that's the case. And I still say that Cody leaving AEW was the first kind of brick out of the wall that started kind of their downturn in quality. And then once Punk left and the Brawl Out happened and all that other stuff, then it just became like, oh my God. Like, everything kind of went downhill after that. And I think losing Punk also threw a lot of their storylines out of whack because it was clear that they were going to do Punk versus MJF for the title. And none of that happened because of everything that did happen. So, Punk's return is going to be very interesting. It's going to make that first episode of Collision can't miss. Very much like how the first episode of Rampage was can't miss, which is something that nobody would say about Rampage now. I don't think anybody would call that show can't miss. If anything, it's must miss TV because it's just a waste of time. I've advocated they should just go ahead and cancel Rampage with Collision. There's no reason to have it now. But things will be very, very, very interesting, and I'm going to be glued to the TV to see how Punk gets reintroduced into AEW programming. Now, this is going to spark up discussions of a potential brand split. There's talks that Punk is going to be heavily involved with creative over on Collision. There's talks that Danielson is going to be involved in creative for Collision as well. And if this leads to some kind of a brand split, I think we know that Miro and Thunder Rosa are going to wind up on Collision. That's pretty much a given at this point. Punk would kind of be the leader over on Collision, and the Elite would be the leaders over on Dynamite. And you would kind of expect the rosters to kind of fill out from there. Again, if they're doing a brand split, which I'm not a huge fan of, but if they do a brand split, I would hope that they would strive to make both shows give them each their own identity, because that's been one of my criticisms of the Raw SmackDown brand split pretty much since the beginning, is that Raw and SmackDown have never felt like separate shows. It's just, you got red WWE and blue WWE, and I think Eric Bischoff said the same thing, and he's completely right. The only thing, the only time I can recall feeling like Raw and SmackDown were separate shows was when it was 2004 and Raw had He Who Must Not Be Named, Chris Benoit, and Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton, Foley for a nostalgia run, and Shelton Benjamin was getting a push. Edge was there at that point. Jericho was there. And Raw was kind of the blood and guts NWA style show. And then you had SmackDown, which was like a cartoon show with characters like Mordecai and Kenzo Suzuki running around, and Heidenreich, and Concrete Crip match, and a bunch of stupid stuff with The Undertaker. That was the cartoon show. And you had guys like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Rob Van Dam, Booker T to a lesser extent, although he did those segments with the Voodoo Woman, which wasn't great. And you had them to try and make sense out of all the nonsense. And you had JBL as kind of the heel champion to give it a focus and direction. But that was more the cartoon show. And Raw was more like the blood and guts wrestling show. And it doesn't take a genius to see which one was better. But that was the only time I felt like both brands had like different identities and different styles, I guess it were. But generally speaking, both shows are pretty much exactly the same. And, if they're going to do this Dynamite Collision brand split, I think they should strive to make the shows different. Shoot them differently, if possible. Have different looking set for Collision. There's talk that it's going to have a Nitro style set, which I would love that. I would love a Nitro style set for Collision. I would also, maybe load up Dynamite, since that's the thinking is that that's going to be the Elite style show. Make that one like the Japan meets PWG kind of indie style show. That's where all the high flyers and the colorful characters go. So like the Orange Cassidys would go there, Bucks and Omega, obviously. Any Japanese stars, Takeshita would go over there. I would put Rey Fenix over there. The one tag team I would consider splitting up is the Lucha Brothers, because I don't see a point in keeping them together. And I see great potential in singles runs for both guys, especially Pentagon. And I think splitting them up would be a good idea. Just, I don't know if they want to do that because they're brothers and they're like working together. I don't know, but I would consider splitting them up and giving them separate runs and seeing what they can do as singles. But other than that, I wouldn't split up any of the tag teams. But, just to kind of highlight what I'm talking about, maybe Best Friends would go over with Orange and they'd be on Dynamite, and then FTR would be on Collision. Top Flight would be work on Dynamite, and like Wardlow and guys like that would be on Collision. And kind of like make Collision like the hard-nosed, blood and guts, grounded, more realistic style of wrestling. Blackpool Combat Club would probably end up on Collision. Jericho Appreciation Society would probably be better suited for Dynamite, especially with somebody like Daddy Magic and things like that. The Acclaimed would probably work better on Dynamite, for example. And let Dynamite be kind of the more high-flying, entertainment-based show. And let that be the Bucks style of wrestling, and let Collision be CM Punk style of wrestling. And see which one is better. I don't know. But if they're going to do that brand split, that's kind of where I would go with it. I haven't fully thought out like how the roster would lay out or how everything would go. But I do think if they're going to keep ROH around, put some of the more unpolished talents over in Ring of Honor. And basically, I've said it before, Ring of Honor should just be AEW's version of NXT at this point. Just let it be developmental, let guys get exposure and some level of attention and experience, and then see if they can get better and then work their way up to one of the two shows, Collision or Dynamite. If it sounds like I'm ripping off the WWE format doing it that way, it's like, what else do you do with it at this point? I don't know, but ROH is just AEW's minor league at this point, so might as well use it effectively, is my point. But yeah, again, Punk has seemed to spark a little bit of interest back in AEW, and we'll see if they're able to maintain that moving forward. Again, as we head into the big stadium show All In, I would hope that even if they do have a brand split planned or whatever, I would hope that they get all parties involved to agree to Punk versus the Elite in some capacity in the stadium, because I think that's the money match. I think that's the one you do. And if they want to split up after that, so be it. But I do feel like we need to get that storyline in that match for Punk's return to have any kind of meaning or impact. He's got to do something with the Elite. But that's my take. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I've got for you now. And things are heating up and things are getting real interesting. But that is all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. If you want to continue to support the channel, you can do so by liking, subscribing, posting your comments and feedback down below. And you can even follow me on Twitter. The link is in the description. But that is all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you all later.